This is the Kzzi K75 Pro 75% wireless mechanical keyboard. That's right, we're back at it again with custom keyboard videos, and as usual, we're going to do something stupid again to keep this video remotely interesting. By the end of this video, this build will become the thockiest keyboard you will ever hear. Probably, potentially not, but watch till the end anyway. Before I begin, I would like to disclose that though this video is not sponsored, Kzzi did send me this unit for free to review. They do not have any input on the production of the video, and do not get to watch it before it gets published. The only question I asked while creating this video was how to pronounce their brand name, and they said either spell it out as Kzzi or Kzzi. With that out of the way, let's get started with the unboxing. The design of the box is pretty and simple, and the top just slides off after a bit. When we open her up, we are greeted with a piece of paper that you can pretend to type on. And under that, we get a first look at the bag over the keyboard, and then the keyboard. Kzzi sent over the mousse cake version with their own moment linear switches. On Amazon, this $120 keyboard comes in 6 other color schemes and a tactile switch as well. We'll go over these switches later. The package also comes with a USB-C to C cable with a USB-A adapter, a switch and keycap combo puller, and 4 extra switches. Having the necessities including extra replacement switches in case one or more fails is a neat touch. As I mentioned, this is a 75% custom keyboard with hot swappable switches. Unlike the Uppbeat TH80 Pro that I went over previously, the arrow keys are separated from the rest of the keys, and there's an extra key in the set of keys that I don't know what they're called. The body is completely plastic, but it doesn't sound hollow at all tapping around it, and we'll see why later as well. The double shot PBT keycaps are cherry profile and have a classy brown and beige theme with yellow accents. They have standard labels along with extra what looks like die sub labels on the side for their secondary operations. Although the latter are helpful so you don't have to memorize which key does what, they do make the keys look a little bit cluttered and ugly, especially when they're on random keys like this one on the comma. It has a little digital screen that shows remaining battery percentage on top, and next to it is the Kzzi logo, as well as the caps lock, scroll lock, windows lock, and a low voltage indicator. Directly under that is a 3-way switch where you can switch between 2.4 GHz wireless, Bluetooth, or power off or wired. Although this looks really cool, I would have preferred a function that was a little bit more useful, like a dial for volume or scrolling. The clicky sound it makes when you switch modes is so satisfying. However, it is a bit finicky to use since you get no leverage with the bump being flush with the rest of the top case. It is indeed compatible with both Mac and Windows, and it worked flawlessly with my MacBook Pro connected via Bluetooth. On the back face, there are 2 USB-C ports, one of which connects to your PC and charges the battery, and the other USB-C and USB-A port acts as a USB hub. I'm not sure if I would use this as a power source when running on battery though, just to conserve juice. And speaking of juice, this has a 3750 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery. Not mega amp hours, but milliamp hours, okay? This keyboard is not a nuclear power plant unlike the TH80 Pro. Thank you for spamming the comments with that. Kzzi claims 200 hours of battery life with the backlighting off and 3 hours with it on, so it's a massive difference depending on your preference. Something small, but details like exposed hardware just looks super cool on something with this retro aesthetic. The bottom has 4 rubber feet with 2 stage flippy feet to adjust the height. The USB wireless receiver can be stored here as well, and it's actually magnetically attached, so you don't have to worry about digging this thing with your fingernails like a lot of other wireless keyboards. Kzzi has their own software to control keybinds, macros, and lighting. It's significantly more polished and responsive than other software I've used like the Uppbeat one, but still, I prefer the layout and ease of use of something like Via. The aesthetics of the software is a bit questionable, especially considering the brand was going more for like a retro style with their line of K75s. So with those features out of the way, we'd like to see what this thing sounds like completely stock, but unfortunately, Kzzi told me they won't let me put the sound test in this video unless you like this video and subscribe right now. So go do that, I'll give you like 5 seconds. Alright, let's take a listen. I really like the sound and feel. It feels poppy, smooth, and overall just super fun to type on. The sound resembles something more dense and marbly like the all-aluminum Keychron Q6, and we'll find out why shortly. The cherry profile keycaps are of great quality and easy and comfortable to type on as usual. I feel no stem wobble on the switches, and I was surprised by the complete lack of rattle from the stabilizers. The RGB is nice and soft for those who like some backlighting on your keyboard, and overall it's just a solid product that I wish I would have known about before dumping so much money into my other keyboards. Now, although this is totally great as is, it won't be a stupid Kaichu keyboard video without doing something stupid with it. So let's start taking this thing apart and create another abomination. To remove the keycaps, we do a little bit of a Wingardium Leviosa, and they are off. These switches are south facing. This gives the best compatibility with all keycaps, especially with these cherry profile ones. South facing is just the superior orientation as opposed to north facing switches. I introduced these earlier, but these are Kzzi's Moment linear switches. These switches are made with palm and are pre-lubed, feeling silky smooth as is. There was a barely noticeable scratch, but that may or may not go away eventually as you use them more, as they are advertised as being self-lubricating, although I have yet to verify that. They have a diffusing piece of plastic in the RGB hole to soften the LED backlighting. The springs are quite light to type on with a 40-gram actuation force. The stabilizers look super interesting with a teal stem and white housing. They have no rattling whatsoever and are lubed well as well. I don't think I've said that ever before. To take this thing apart, we remove this hex. Oh, apparently that is just cosmetic. Never mind. So this is really the only thing I would say I just straight up dislike about this product. I spent about 3 whole minutes looking around for this thing for exposed screws, some hardware, but it turns out there are screws hidden underneath the rubber feet that are attached by double-sided tape. I don't think any enthusiast is going to want to rip tape off their keyboard if they don't have to, and although it looks clean, I would have liked an easier access to the screws for disassembly. Also, the screw holes aren't symmetrical. After painfully tearing off the feet and removing the screws, we have to rip apart the top and bottom case with a plastic trim tool. There are, I think, 11 clips holding the top and the bottom, and once those are off, we are finally in. There are a whopping 4 layers of sound damping or enhancing in this keyboard. A PE foam already on the PCB, so you don't have to fire your first PCB and get a replacement later. A pour-on foam between the plate and the PCB. Another sheet of foam under the PCB. And finally, a silicone damper at the bottom. That is a whole lot of sound damping and foam, and it's no wonder why the sound profile is so nice for a fully plastic board. The Keychron Q6 or the Novelkeys K87 at almost double the price don't even have that much damping material inside, although they do make up for it by being fully aluminum and significantly denser. The plate is of a plastic material, though I'm not sure which exactly. The plate is gasket mounted as well, which I don't think is very common for a keyboard at this price. However, they feel like they're silicone rather than foam, so they aren't as squishy as some other models, but I'm sure you can get different gaskets if you wanted to. What the f is... There's something disconnecting on my computer, and I don't know what it is. No. The PCB has slits everywhere to allow flexing to soften the key presses, acting as a bit of sound damping itself. Clearly, it doesn't sound like there's too much extra damping to do, so I will quickly do one of the easiest mods you can do that I've done to all of my keys so far, the tape mod. I'll be using gaffer's tape, partly because I don't have painter's tape, but mostly because it's cloth based, so it should do a much better job at damping than paper. Although these palm linear switches are nice, they just aren't, I don't know, brown enough. They will be coming out in exchange for the Kale Box Cream Pro switches. These are also pre-lubed palm linear switches and have an actuation force of 45 grams. Okay, they're more beige than brown, but you get the point. So my cookbook says that this build requires about 2 cups of cream, so we carefully and evenly cover the surface, and they are all in. That looks awesome, and I'm loving it already. But you know what's still missing? Brown. This so far is probably the stupidest choice I've ever made with keyboards. Yes, I got the Noctua keycaps just for this build. And I also asked Kzzi for the mousse cake color for this as well. I have 0 Noctua components in my PC. I don't have anything Noctua, and this is my first ever Noctua product. This is the Drop and Mito MT3 Noctua keycaps. These are double shot ABS keycaps and an MT3 profile, 2 new to me features that I wanted to try out. Most importantly though, they are beige and brown, perfectly fitting the color theme of this build. Why do I like brown so much suddenly? Am I getting older? Am I old? After we quietly install the keycaps, she is done. The Noctua color scheme has always been something I've been curious about, but just never tried, mostly because it's stupid expensive. Anyway, it's definitely an acquired taste, but boy, does it look classy. The profile was strange at first, but it started growing on me after just a couple minutes of use, and it is so easy and comfy to type on, and honestly, I might like it more than Cherry. Unfortunately, it's a bit louder than an actual Noctua fan, but holy shit, is it THOCKY. Obviously, the larger volume and thicker plastic is going to deepen the sound, but it's also because of the switches. The creams are slightly heavier than the Moment linears, but they still remain that poppy feel because of the long stems, and the sound is a bit deeper as well. They also feel like they're better lubed from factory than the Moment linears, with no sign of the scratchy plastic sound whatsoever. So at $120, I don't think you can get a better start into THOCKY custom 75% keyboards with anything else that I'm aware of so far. Obviously this board, as you see right now, is quite a bit more than that, but you still heard the stock sound, and it is by far the best sounding board stock and fully built as a bonus. Speaking of sound, the sound test for this final build will be at the very end of this video. At the time of me recording this, their website seems to be in some sort of refreshing loop and just doesn't work, which hopefully Kzzi will fix soon. Well, I hope you enjoyed this keyboard build video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, as it will help me out a ton. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button 4 times and subscribe button 3 times. Comment what you think about this build, if you think you're gonna buy this keyboard, and what you'd like to see on this channel next. A non-affiliate link to the K75 Pro is in the description, and Kzzi provided me with a code to get 10% off of your K75 Pro. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe, don't die, and also don't spend like a maniac. See ya. Ooh.